Welcome to Coffee and, well, Steak with Craig. There is absolutely nothing like a good piece of red meat in the morning to have with your coffee. But anyway, I see you eyeing my food. Let me move it over here. Anyway, so today we're going to talk about a court ruling that came out recently. Something that's really, at least I found it interesting. And it has to do with nonviolent felons and their Second Amendment rights. Now, we all know that according to federal law, if you are convicted of a felony, you basically, you lose a lot of your rights, up to and including you lose your right to keep and bear arms. Now, it doesn't matter whether or not that felony is violent or not. Once again, if you're convicted of stealing something over a certain dollar amount, that's a felony. If you commit, a crime, a lot of interstate crimes, even if it's just financial, once again, it's still a felony. But yet with that, no, I think the whole idea of felons losing their gun rights was if someone is violent and has shown a tendency towards violence, we probably don't want to have those individuals to be armed. But that's not what's happening. You know that that's the case where people, because if you look, even people who are convicted, or even in some cases even accused of some violent misdemeanors, are actually also prohibited from owning or possessing firearms. So, this is really interesting. So basically, what happened was there was a guy. His name is Larry Hatfield. He is in Illinois, and he basically he was convicted of a nonviolent felony. And now in some states you have the ability to be able to petition to, be able to try and get your rights back. Well, in some cases they just flat out just deny it. And the point that they were making in this particular case was, the court was saying, well, look, obviously the ban on felons owning, on nonviolent felons, or the total ban on felons is constitutional because it's been the law, forever. But what the district court said, and this was really interesting, and I think this is what really got me, and I'll read this little bit here to you. It says that some categorical bans on firearms possessions are constitutional, but the government does not get a free pass simply because Congress has established a categorical ban. It still must prove that the ban is constitutional, a mandate that flows from Heller itself. So in other words, what they're saying is that if you're going to have a ban, you've got to prove that it's constitutional. In this particular case, what they're saying is if you're talking about trying to keep guns out of the hands of people who might commit violent crimes, well then, what about people who commit nonviolent crimes? Should they at least have the ability to petition to get their rights back, demonstrate that they've turned a new leaf, maybe what they got convicted of was a one-time thing or whatever it was, but they've demonstrated that they've turned over a new leaf. I mean, we allow felons who've been, once you've gone all the way through the process, in many states, you get your voting rights back. So you get one set of rights back, but you don't get all of your rights back. And oh, by the way, even violent felons can get their voting rights back once they've been through the system or gone through the system and done their time. And I think that speaks to, first of all, it speaks to the whole concept of, once again, paying your debt to society. In this case, if you can demonstrate that you've paid your debt to society, you can demonstrate that you've turned over a new leaf and you were convicted of a nonviolent felony, it seems like you should at least be given the opportunity to be able to exercise all of your rights in this country. Anyway, that's my thought. That's my 2 cents. Let's see what you folks have to say. Dun, dun, dun. All right, let's see. Brian Cross, good to see you again. He's speaking to Alan. Alan says, good morning. How about talking about long gun range? Okay, yeah, that's actually an interesting subject. Let me do some research on it, Alan, and maybe we'll have that as a discussion topic for a future Coffee with Craig. So what do you guys think about felons? Yeah, oh, I like Keith Larson. California is turning all of us into felons. Well, they're turning all of it. They're trying to turn all of us into criminals. That's for sure. In some cases, that might equate to felonies. In some cases, not. But then again, when you don't know what the law is, it's a little hard to stay. It's a little hard to stay on the right side of it. Roger says, Craig, I had a tough one on this one, but this is the position of the Virginia Citizens Defense League, and this is me too. If someone has done their time, they shouldn't have their rights permanently taken away. Prosecute and permanently punish violent felons, but I believe there could be a conversation to be had for their nonviolent counterparts. And I think you and I are pretty much in the same place. I think if we're talking about someone who's nonviolent, who's demonstrated that they've turned over a new leaf, I think that's the saying, then they ought to be given the opportunity to check it out. Let's see if we have anybody else here. What about somebody who's been convicted of a felony DUI? If it's a felony, then yeah, that's what the law is. If you're convicted of a felony, you lose your gun rights. Any other questions? Okay, Jonathan says whether a prohibiting misdemeanor or felony, the outcome is the same. The state is constantly moving the goalposts on this as well. And that's true. It's kind of funny. In every area, they want to restore. First of all, they're taking criminals who are in prison and they're putting them in jail. Then they're taking people who are convicted of felonies and they're reducing them to misdemeanors, and they're doing it retroactively. So an interesting question is, if you were convicted of a felony and it was reduced to a misdemeanor, do you then get your gun rights back? That's an interesting question. I'm gonna have to look that one up. But they're constantly moving the goalposts. But the one group of people that they're not, the one group of people for whom they are. I'm sorry. Let me go back. When they say they're moving the goalposts, what they're doing is they're making it easier on those who've been convicted of crimes, and they're actually reducing their crimes and they're letting them out of jail. At the same time, they're changing the laws for law-abiding gun owners, making it more confusing, making it easier to put us in jail, to actually lock us up. Now, there are a lot of people out there who say, oh, they would disagree. And I'll just tell you this. There are a handful of people who truly, truly understand California and federal law when it comes to firearms. And I can tell you, of those, even a smaller percentage, a minute percent, actually work in the California legislature and are making these laws. So with that, I can tell you right now that they are confused. It's the reason why DOJ hasn't come out with the regs yet on the bullet button guns, because they don't know what they're doing. They're still trying to figure it out. They've had 6 months. They've had since July 1st, and they still haven't come out with the regs. Well, what does that have to tell you? The idea is they don't know what they're doing. All they know is they want to take your guns. That's pretty much what they know. Tony, I really don't want Leland Yee to get his gun rights back after he gets out of federal prison. Yeah, okay. Tony, you get the comment of the day award for that one. I'm actually gonna like that one right now. That was really good. Is there really a 10-year prohibition on your gun rights for simple battery now? Isn't that a misdemeanor? I do not know, as I am not a lawyer, so I do not know if that is the case. If I know that a number of nonviolent felonies or nonviolent misdemeanors do come with a prohibition. I do not know if that is one of them. I think it comes down to money and disarm, my 2 cents. Treason. Short, simple. Thank you, Greg. Any other interesting comments?
Hey, that's the same dude that said you get rich off this shit.
Then you can't own a gun. Okay, well, anyway, that's kind of the discussion for today. I think it's important, and this is, guys, I cannot tell you enough. As gun owners, we are the most highly regulated group in society. No one is more highly regulated than we are. Understand that the exercising of this right comes with responsibility, and part of that is doing the best you can to know the law. So I want to encourage you, take some time, go to firearmspolicy.org, click on news, and you'll find this article. It has some really interesting points that were made by the court. This is a case that I think that folks should be following. Once again, even if you don't care about felons and people who've been convicted of nonviolent felonies, it's also about the idea of valuing our right to keep and bear arms the same way we value all the rest of our rights, right? Because there are people who want to tell you, well, it's a right, but it's not a right. It's not as important as the rest of them. It's not a second-class right. Anyway, that's Coffee for Craig today. I guess we'll look forward to seeing you folks again tomorrow morning. Get back to my steak.
If you like these updates, please share them with your friends and subscribe to our YouTube channel.